Right guys, so we're starting off with this image, and it's going to be a pretty hard image to edit, but it's very, very cool, and it's got a lot of purples, a lot of oranges, very vibrant. So let's go about trying to replicate this edit. So I'm just going to expose it right. And these edits aren't the best to save as Luts because there's so much processing going on. If you were to save it and then apply it to another image, if it's slightly off because of the effects have been so greatly altered, it will be way off if it's off at all. And bring up the blacks a little, and now that we've got it pretty well exposed, I'm going to really warm it up. And then put a lot of purples in. And then come down. We won't worry about the tone curve because we have so much going on up here and other areas as well. We don't need to add contrast in with the curves. So onto HSL. Yellows towards orange. And down to saturation, take some reds out. Bring up the orange. Yellow just a tad. And then down to luminance. We're going to really take down the orange. It'll give us a much deeper orange. And we'll take down the yellows for a deeper yellow. And then coming down to split toning. So we're going to add a goldy green to the highlights. Only a tiny bit. Now shadows, we're going to add a lot of blue into the shadows. And that's what gives you the deeper purples. And then we are going to really sharpen it and do a little bit of masking. And if you don't know what masking does, hold Alt and slide your bar back and forth and it will show you what you're sharpening. So we want mainly the larger edges sharpened and not the smaller ones, so about there. So as you can see, that's pretty much our colours done. We're looking really blue, but we're going to add some filters now that will really help us get a bit more better colours. So start off with graduated filter over the entire sky. And I'm just going to warm it up a bit more. Going to really lift the shadows and the whites. Take down the blacks a tad. And really up the clarity. As you can see, that creates the real pop and you can really see the clouds. And that's it for that filter. And I might add one more, because I was maxed out on that filter for some things. And I might just put in a bit more purple. And use this one for a lot of sharpening. And done. And then we're going to do one more. So one thing he always does is he creates really really bright, vibrant reflections to create symmetry, which is a very popular method. So in this filter, I'm going to slightly up the exposure. Bit of contrast. Really up the highlights. Whites to create a real punch. Clarity. And give some saturation. He very often almost has it as bright as the sky, his reflections. Not always, but quite often. And that's it. So now when we look at our image, it's pretty close. His just looks a bit more orange. So what I'm going to do is, because we don't have oranges up here, I'm going to put some in to make it look a bit more like his. So what I'm going to do is grab the brush tool and I'm going to paint in this area here. Click down here to see what you're doing so we can see what we've painted on, and then get rid of it when you add your colours. What I'm going to do is really warm it up. Tiny bit of exposure. Add some highlights. A lot of whites to get it punching. A lot of saturation. So we've done an alright job of bringing that colour out, but I'd still like a little more. So what I'm going to do is just colour pick some colour and put it in there. I'm going to go for quite an orangey yellow, and done. And it's still not quite as much as I want, so what I'm going to do is brush on it again. And that's going to just enhance every effect we did a bit more. You could brush a little bit other places. If you want some more gold. And I think we are pretty good. So we've got those purples. Those purples are kind of hard to get in there sometimes. Got those real nice deep oranges. And then a bit of yellows, very vibrant. We could maybe add a bit more whites. Creates a bit more of that punch. If you see I bring it all the way up. Provides just a bit of a kick around here. Maybe a tad more contrast. And then maybe brighten up down here just a little more. And I mean, I could tweak this for ages and ages, but I think we're looking pretty good. I might see if I drop the masking, you can see I'm sharpening more of the image. And if I bring it all the way up, I'm not sharpening very much. So I'm going to bring it down so it's sharpening more of those little specks in the clouds. As you can see, they're also quite sharp. So I'm going to bring that. I'm going to leave it all the way down actually. And yeah, I'm going to leave that image as it is. We've got those really good oranges, purples, and contrast, and a reflection going on. So yeah, right. I'm going to move on to the next image. Alrighty, so this is a pretty standard image. He's normally much more vibrant, but this is just going to be a slight orange and teal grade that I'll quickly do. So what I'm going to do is just warm it up a tad. Bit of contrast. Up the shadows. Drop the blacks. Bring the vibrance up a little. Very slight S-curve. Because we're adding in so much contrast in other areas, doing so much altering, probably don't need that much. And then HSL. Before I do that, I'm just going to come straight to the bottom here and show you what's going to do the biggest effect, which is this blue primary camera calibration. And that very quickly gives us a teal and orange. As you can see, our blues up here, blues up there, and our reds, but they're just a little off. So now we need to come back up here and work through our colors. So I'm just going to bring down those blues. Drop these reds so you get a deeper looking color. Bring up the yellows for that pop, especially in the clouds. Aqua, right up. And blue coming right up. As you can see, that gives us a real nice light blue look. Then I'm going to come back down to camera calibration. I'm just going to shift this slightly over, as you can see what it's doing, slightly to a deeper red. So now we just want to improve the sky a bit more. Gonna warm it up a bit. So warm it up a bit gives, as you can see, a little warm in there. Drop the contrast. It's very bright, sharp shadows, clouds I mean. Clarity. A little bit of dehaze. And take down the saturation a bit. and really sharpen them. So hopefully you guys can see that little bit of warmth in the clouds. It's like a real soft brown in there, and really sharp, very bright. And yeah, so that's that for that image. Our reds are quite bright, so we could drop it a bit more, desaturate them a tad. And I'm probably going to leave that one there. I think that's pretty close. So if we look at our before and after, a pretty basic orange and teal, really bringing out those clouds with a bit of warmth in there. Bit of blue, got that nice real light blue as we can see up there. And then the rocks have gone very red and teal, and it's all very desaturated. So that's that one. And we have one more image, which is a very heavily processed one. So yeah, let's get into this one. So I'm gonna start by really bringing up the warmth. Bring up the contrast. Bring up the shadows. Bring up the whites. And bring up the blacks. Skip tone curve. Come down to here. Then onto saturation. Now luminance, bring up those reds. We can't really see the colours at the moment, but they'll all come out very shortly, especially when we put in split toning, which probably you want to do before this, but alright. So I'm gonna really lift this. Gonna give us our reds, and then in the shadows we're gonna put a lot of purple. And we're getting there. And that's it for messing with our colours. And then we want to just maybe, we're looking a little, maybe a little purple and a bit more reds. So I'm going to bring the warmth all the way up now. Take out a few more purples. As you can see, still got those purples in the really dark spaces. And now, just going to do a little bit on this. So I'm just going to slightly bring down the dehaze, give a bit of a shine. Drop the clarity, as where it's really bright, sometimes it's much softer. And then we want to work on our reflection, so he's again doing this really nice reflection to create some symmetry. So what we're going to do is brighten it up. And what you want it to be looking nice and soft. Bring up contrast. Just going to make it a bit bigger, a bit longer. Bring up the highlights. Take down the whites, so it doesn't get too blown out. And then I'm really going to bring up clarity, bit of dehaze, touch of saturation, and I'm going to leave it as that. So I reckon that's really similar. Got those yellows and those deep oranges, got those purples, those deep purples, and then you still got the reds. Yeah, you got the symmetry going on. So I'm going to leave it as that, and that's the end of this video. So comment below what you guys want to see. I'd really like to hear if you found this helpful, and make sure to leave a like, and I'll see you in the next one.